Hee Haw was more than just a TV show, it was a beloved cultural treasure that filled millions of homes with laughter, music, and charm. Its cast of talented performers became icons of joy and humor, capturing the hearts of viewers with their wit and country spirit. But behind the laughter and cheerful personas lay stories of hardship, heartbreak, and tragedy. Many of Hee Haw's beloved stars faced untimely deaths, from devastating illnesses and tragic accidents to personal struggles that ultimately claimed their lives. This tribute delves into the bittersweet realities behind the scenes, uncovering how 35 cherished cast members tragically passed away. Their stories are a poignant reminder of the human fragility and resilience behind the smiles they brought to the world. Join us as we honor their legacies and explore the heartbreak hidden behind the hay bales. Roy Clark, born in Haron, Virginia, on April 15, 1933, was a musical prodigy who became a household name as the host of Hee Haw. He was only 36 when he joined the show in 1969, bringing his exceptional talent for guitar, banjo, and fiddle to the stage. His character on Hee Haw was an amplified version of himself, a charming, warm-hearted performer who could bridge the gap between country music and mainstream appeal. Yet, behind the scenes, Roy's life was filled with turmoil. His first marriage to Barbara was marred by his demanding career, which often kept him away from home. Though they had 3 children, the pressures of fame and life on the road took their toll. His second marriage to the younger Barbara was similarly fraught, ultimately leading to a painful divorce. Financial setbacks also haunted Roy, as his earlier success didn't shield him from the unpredictable nature of the music industry. Tragedy struck in his later years, when the joy of playing music was overshadowed by the loss of his son in a car accident. Roy Clark passed away on November 15, 2018, at the age of 85, due to complications from pneumonia. Buck Owens, born in Sherman, Texas, on August 12, 1929, was already a respected country musician before he became a key figure in Hee Haw. At 40, Buck brought his commanding presence and signature twang to the show in 1969. Known for his bold style, he played himself as the co-host, often sharing the spotlight with Roy Clark. On the surface, his life seemed enviable, filled with country hits and industry recognition. However, Buck's journey was marked by deep personal loss and regret. His marriage to his first wife, Bonnie, ended after 17 years, leaving him to raise their 3 children alone. Buck's heart never fully healed, and he struggled to find lasting love afterward. His career, though initially successful, suffered in the late 1970s and 1980s as country music tastes changed. Still, his devotion to music kept him performing until the end. In his final years, his health deteriorated, and a heart attack claimed his life on March 25, 2006, at the age of 76. His passing left behind a legacy of musical innovation, but his personal battles and the void left by his death are undeniable. Grandpa Jones, born Louis Marshall Jones on October 20, 1913, in Niagara, Kentucky, was a staple of Hee Haw, captivating audiences with his infectious energy and banjo skills. He joined the show in 1969 at the age of 55, quickly becoming one of the most beloved figures on the show. Grandpa's persona was that of a mischievous, lovable elder full of humorous antics and down-to-earth wisdom. However, behind the smile was a man who faced personal struggles. Married 3 times, Grandpa's first 2 marriages ended in divorce. His third wife, Ramona, brought him stability, and they raised a son together. Yet, the pain of losing his mother at a young age never left him. His later years were marked by health issues, including a stroke that left him partially paralyzed. Despite the challenges, Grandpa's spirit remained resilient, and he continued to perform on Hee Haw until his health worsened. The show had given him the recognition he longed for, but it couldn't save him from the ravages of time. On February 19, 1998, Grandpa Jones passed away at the age of 84 due to complications from a stroke. Minnie Pearl, born Sarah Ophelia Colley on October 25, 1912, was a name that became synonymous with comedy, charm, and simplicity. She joined Hee Haw in 1969 at the age of 56, where she played a humorous version of herself, a sweet, slightly bumbling character with a signature hat adorned with a price tag. Her comedic timing and folksy charm won over the hearts of millions. Yet, beneath the laughter, Minnie's life was clouded by struggles that few saw. She was married to Henry "Buck" Morgan, but their union was filled with sorrow. The couple had no children, and Minnie's longing for motherhood was a silent pain she carried throughout her life. Her career, while successful on Hee Haw, didn't shield her from personal devastation. In the early 1970s, Minnie was diagnosed with a severe mental breakdown, and she was forced to step back from performing for a while. The strain of balancing fame with a sense of emptiness gnawed at her. Her health took a toll as she aged, and Minnie suffered a stroke in 1995. The stroke left her weak, yet she continued to fight. Her final days were a reflection of her lifelong resilience, but on March 4, 1996, at the age of 83, she passed away due to complications from the stroke. Junior Samples, born in Kennesaw, Georgia, on April 10, 1926, was a beloved, endearing figure on Hee Haw. At 43, he joined the show in 1969, bringing with him his signature humor as the lovable, somewhat bumbling character. Junior's comedic style was simple, relying on the charm of his down-home personality and often ridiculous antics. However, behind the laughs, his life was far from a comedic tale. Junior's marriage to his wife, Ruth, was full of heartache. The couple had 2 children, but Junior's inability to manage his finances led to constant stress, and the pressures of his fame began to tear at his family's foundation. His addiction to gambling and an inability to maintain financial stability were constant sources of tension. Junior's career was defined by peaks and valleys. While Hee Haw brought him fame, it didn't shield him from personal turmoil. The death of his son in a car accident in 1978 was a crushing blow from which Junior never fully recovered. His personal demons caught up with him, and his once bright career started to dwindle. On November 13, 1983, at the age of 57, Junior suffered a fatal heart attack. His passing was a tragic reminder of the fragile balance between fame and personal sorrow. Archie Campbell, born on November 7, 1914, was a man whose talent shone brightly in the world of comedy, yet his personal life was marked by a series of struggles and heartache. He played himself on Hee Haw, bringing laughter to millions with his wit, charm, and versatility. At 55, he became a key figure in the show's ensemble, known for his sharp humor and endearing character. However, his career was not always smooth. Archie had his share of financial difficulties, and despite his fame on Hee Haw, he struggled to secure lasting roles in Hollywood, often relegated to sidekick parts. His personal life mirrored his professional roller coaster. He was married twice, first to his wife, Mary, with whom he had 3 children. Yet, despite his success, his family life was fraught with tension. His first marriage ended in divorce, and the strain of his career ambitions, coupled with a difficult home life, left him emotionally drained. His second marriage was no less turbulent, and Archie spent the latter years of his life battling personal demons, including a deep sense of isolation. Tragedy struck when he suffered a fatal heart attack on August 29, 1987, at the age of 72. Jim Hagar, born on August 30, 1941, was a talented musician who made his mark on Hee Haw as a member of the Hagar twins. With his infectious smile and easygoing nature, Jim, along with his twin brother John, was beloved by fans. He was 28 years old when the show debuted in 1969, a young man full of potential. Yet, behind his cheerful demeanor, Jim's life was often marred by struggles. The fame he gained from Hee Haw did not translate into long-term career success. Despite his musical talents, the twins found it hard to break out beyond the show, and their post-Hee Haw years were filled with financial instability and fading recognition. In his personal life, Jim's love was always his music, but his relationships were often strained. He married in his youth, but his marriage ended in divorce, and his deep sadness over this loss haunted him for years. He had 2 children, a son and a daughter, but the distance between him and his family grew over time. He was known to have struggled with depression and had an overwhelming sense of loneliness. The weight of his personal and professional failures took its toll, and on May 1, 2008, at the age of 66, John Hagar, born on August 30, 1941, shared much of his life with his twin brother Jim. The two were inseparable on Hee Haw, where their harmonies and humor won them fans. John, like Jim, joined the show at the age of 28 in 1969. They were often the life of the party, with John's charisma and natural stage presence lighting up every scene. But beneath the surface, John's life was clouded with personal struggles. Although the show brought them fame, the Hagar brothers faced immense pressure to maintain their careers beyond Hee Haw. John's own battles with substance abuse and mental health left him feeling disconnected from the world around him. He had been married, but his relationships never lasted, and he had a strained relationship with his children. The pain of his broken family and the fading of his musical career cast a long shadow over his life. Despite his charm, John's personal demons were always present, and they slowly eroded his once vibrant spirit. On January 9, 2009, at the age of 67, John passed away from natural causes, his life cut short by years of wear and tear from his inner turmoil. Gord Tapper, born on June 4, 1922, was a man whose talent brought joy to millions, yet his life was filled with quiet sorrow. Known for his role on Hee Haw, where he played himself, Gordy's humor and versatility made him a beloved figure. Joining the show in 1969 at the age of 47, he was celebrated for his musical and comedic abilities. But the success that came with Hee Haw did little to shield him from the turmoil that existed in his personal life. Despite his fame, Gordy faced a series of struggles, both professionally and personally. His career, while steady, never reached the heights he had hoped for. He was married twice, first to Ruth, with whom he had 2 children. Though his children followed in his artistic footsteps, Gordy's family life was often strained. His second marriage ended in divorce, and the emotional toll left him feeling isolated. Despite the difficulties, Gordy continued to work, dedicating himself to his craft. However, the toll of his emotional struggles caught up with him in his later years. In December 2016, at the age of 94, Gordy passed away from complications related to pneumonia. Donald Haron, born on September 19, 1924, was a man of sharp wit and remarkable talent, yet his personal life was fraught with hardship. As Charlie Farquharson on Hee Haw, Donald brought an eccentric, humorous character to life, endearing himself to audiences who loved his clever banter. He joined the series in 1969 at the age of 45, bringing a sense of charm and wit to the show. However, behind the laughter, Donald's life was marked by failure and discontent. Though his role on Hee Haw brought him fame, it did not provide the lasting success he desired. His career remained a series of highs and lows, with opportunities often slipping through his fingers. On the personal front, Donald's marriages were troubled. He married twice, and though he had children, his relationships were often strained. His first marriage ended in divorce, and while his second marriage lasted longer, it was far from perfect. His emotional struggles only deepened as his career stagnated. In his later years, Donald's health began to fail, and he was diagnosed with cancer. He passed away on January 17, 2015, at the age of 90. George Lindsay, born December 17, 1928, was a gifted actor and comedian, widely adored for his portrayal of himself in Hee Haw, which he joined in 1971 at the age of 42. With his infectious personality and comedic timing, George became a fan favorite, known for his southern charm and wit. Yet, his career and personal life were both punctuated by periods of uncertainty. Although his professional life flourished, his personal relationships were often rocky. He was married twice and had children, but like many in the industry, his marriages struggled under the weight of his demanding career. The rift between George and his family deepened as his career took off, and his personal battles with loneliness and self-doubt became more pronounced. His life was further overshadowed by the untimely deaths of several close friends, leaving him grappling with feelings of isolation. Despite achieving great success, George's later years were marked by profound grief and loss, culminating in his battle with health problems. On May 6, 2012, at the age of 83, George passed away from heart failure. His death signaled the end of an era, a man who had once brightened millions of lives with laughter, but whose own was clouded by years of emotional struggles and personal pain. Buck Trent was born on February 17, 1938, in Tennessee, and his early life was marked by a love for music that would later define his career. By the time he joined Hee Haw in 1974 at the age of 36, Buck had already carved out a name for himself as a talented musician, particularly known for his skills on the banjo. He played himself on the show, bringing his charm and humor to the character. His character, much like his real life, was lively and engaging, often contributing to the musical atmosphere that made Hee Haw so beloved. Despite his success on the show, Buck's personal life was marked by struggles. He faced career setbacks in the music industry, with his records not always achieving the success they deserved, despite his undeniable talent. His marriage to his first wife ended in divorce, and the toll it took on him was immense, leaving him with a sense of loss. He eventually remarried, but his personal life never fully recovered from the strain. Buck's later years were quieter, and while he continued to play music, his legacy was overshadowed by health issues and the decline of his popularity. His death on October 9, 2023, at the age of 85 from natural causes. String Bean, born David Aikman on June 17, 1915, was a man of simple pleasures, yet his life was far from simple. He joined Hee Haw in 1969 at the age of 54, playing himself as a banjo player with a witty and humorous charm. His character resonated with the audience as a humble, good-natured soul who brought lighthearted moments to the show. However, String Bean's life off-screen was marred by tragedy. Despite his fame on Hee Haw, String Bean struggled financially and personally. His career as a musician, while successful, was never as prosperous as his work on the show. He faced financial difficulties and lived in constant fear of losing everything. His personal life was also troubled. His marriage to his wife, Estelle, was often strained by the pressures of their lifestyle. But the worst was yet to come. On November 10, 1973, at the age of 58, String Bean was tragically murdered during a robbery at his home. His life, filled with laughter and music, was brutally cut short in a violent act that shocked the nation. The loss of String Bean left a deep void in the Hee Haw family, a tragedy that remained in the hearts of fans for years to come. John Aylesworth, born on August 18, 1928, was a man of vision and creativity. As one of the co-creators and the announcer on Hee Haw, he helped shape the show into the cultural phenomenon it became after its debut in 1969. At the age of 41, he joined the cast, bringing his sharp wit and creativity to the forefront of the production. As the announcer, his voice became synonymous with the show, guiding the audience through its various sketches and musical acts. However, while John found success in his professional life, his personal life was filled with struggles. He faced numerous challenges in his career, with Hee Haw often at the center of industry criticism, despite its popularity. His personal relationships were marked by difficulties as well, with his marriage experiencing tumultuous periods. He was married twice, and though he had children, the emotional toll of his career and family life left scars that never fully healed. In his later years, John found solace in writing, but his health began to decline. On July 28, 2010, at the age of 81, John passed away due to complications from pneumonia. His death was a quiet end to a life that had been anything but. Kenny Price was born on May 27, 1931, in Kentucky, a man with a voice that could lift any soul and a smile that hid the pain of a turbulent life. He joined Hee Haw in 1970 at the age of 39, playing himself as a charismatic, humorous musician whose comedic timing and soulful voice captivated audiences. But behind the laughter and the music, Kenny's life was a series of misfortunes. His early career was riddled with failures, despite his undeniable talent, and the pressures of making a name for himself in the country music scene weighed heavily on him. His personal life mirrored this struggle. Kenny was married twice, and both marriages ended in painful divorces, leaving him with deep emotional scars. He had one child, a son named Robert, but the strain of his career and personal life took a toll on their relationship. Despite his success on Hee Haw, Kenny's health began to decline, worsened by his battles with alcoholism and a sense of loneliness. In the quiet of his later years, he was unable to escape the shadows of his past. On August 3, 1987, at the age of 56, Kenny Price died suddenly of a heart attack. John Henry Faulk, born on August 21, 1913, was a man of extraordinary wit and wisdom, whose storytelling ability could capture the hearts of anyone who listened. He joined Hee Haw in 1976 at the age of 63, playing himself as a humorous and engaging storyteller whose tales, often infused with Southern charm, became a beloved part of the show. His character was a source of joy and laughter, but his personal journey was filled with heartache. In his early career, John faced professional setbacks, as his political activism in the 1950s during the McCarthy era led to blacklisting, severely affecting his career. Despite this, he found redemption on Hee Haw, where his comedic prowess shone. On the personal front, John married once, but his marriage was fraught with struggles, and he later divorced, leaving him to raise his children alone. His family life was marred by the turmoil of his earlier years, but he remained a dedicated father to his children, Jane and Stephen. Despite the happiness he found on Hee Haw, John Henry's life was overshadowed by the looming presence of illness. He battled cancer for years, a fight that ultimately claimed his life. On April 9, 1990, at the age of 76, John passed away. Bobby Thompson, born on July 5, 1937, became a familiar face on Hee Haw when he joined the cast in 1972 at the age of 35. Known for his witty humor and remarkable musical talents, Bobby brought an infectious energy to the stage. His character, much like himself, was a skilled musician who used humor to charm audiences. Yet, behind his cheerful disposition lay a life filled with personal trials. Bobby had a failed marriage early in his life, which left him disillusioned about love and family. His career, while successful in the entertainment world, never quite reached the heights he hoped for. Despite his role on Hee Haw, Bobby often struggled with financial instability, his personal life marred by a string of failed ventures. He found himself distanced from his family, caught between the allure of fame and the bitterness of rejection. The two major tragedies that marked his life were the death of his mother, whom he was very close to, and the collapse of his second marriage. These events drove him into a deep depression that affected both his health and his career. Though he continued to perform, Bobby's final years were spent quietly. He passed away on May 18, 2005, at the age of 67, due to natural causes. Slim Pickens, born on June 29, 1919, was a man whose charm and wit brought him into the hearts of many, yet his life was shadowed by struggle. He played himself on Hee Haw starting in 1981, at the age of 62, embodying the kind of humor and charisma that made him beloved. Slim's career had its moments of success, but they were often fleeting. Known for his distinctive voice and comedic roles, he spent much of his life in the margins of Hollywood, cast as a supporting character rather than the leading man. His personal life wasn't much easier. He had 3 children with his wife Margaret, but their marriage struggled under the weight of his career instability. Slim's financial difficulties and bouts of depression haunted him, and despite his popularity on Hee Haw, his life was far from fulfilling. In 1983, at the age of 64, he was diagnosed with brain cancer. The disease spread quickly, and he passed away on December 8, 1983. His death came too soon, and left behind a man whose talent was often overshadowed by the burdens he carried. He was mourned not just by his family, but by the fans who saw him as a source of light despite the darkness in his life. George Jones, born September 12, 1931, was a man whose voice became the soundtrack of country music, but whose life was fraught with pain and chaos. He joined Hee Haw in 1969 at 38, portraying himself in the show, where his troubled yet magnetic persona resonated deeply with fans. George's early life was marked by poverty and hardship, and his struggles with alcoholism and drugs would haunt him throughout his career. His personal life was no less tumultuous. His first marriage to Dorothy saw the birth of 2 children, but the relationship was fractured by his addiction. His most infamous marriage was to fellow country star Tammy Wynette, but even their union couldn't withstand the storm of his destructive habits. His career, though remarkable, was often interrupted by his personal demons, leading to periods of financial ruin and professional decline. However, George's resilience allowed him to make a comeback in the 1980s, though his past never left him. His health began to deteriorate in his later years, and on April 26, 2013, he passed away at the age of 81 from hypoxic respiratory failure. Roy Rogers, born on November 5, 1911, was once a shining star of Hollywood's golden age, gracing the screen with his charming presence and cowboy persona. In Hee Haw, 1970, he portrayed himself, a beloved figure to both young and old, known for his deep voice and gentle demeanor. When he joined the show at the age of 59, his fans expected more of the same magic he had offered in earlier films. But beneath the silver screen fame, Roy's life was marked by hardship and loss. His marriage to fellow actress Dale Evans, while full of love, was never free from tragedy. They lost their biological son, Roy Jr., to an illness when he was just a baby. Roy's heart was further broken by the passing of his adopted daughter, Debbie, who tragically took her own life in 1964. His work in Hollywood also faced ups and downs, struggling to adapt to the changing times. Though beloved by many, his career eventually began to slow down. His health deteriorated with age, suffering from heart issues that would lead to his death at 86. On July 6, 1998, Roy Rogers passed away from congestive heart failure, leaving behind a legacy of both joy and sorrow that echoed through the years. Dale Evans, born on October 31, 1912, was a woman of grace and resilience, known for her fiery spirit both on and off screen. In Hee Haw, 1970, she played herself, bringing warmth and charm to her role. Her character was a beacon of strength, but the truth of Dale's own life was far more complex. Her journey to stardom was clouded by personal losses that would haunt her forever. Dale's marriage to Roy Rogers, though strong, was riddled with grief. After the death of their son, she faced unimaginable pain, yet her determination to continue her career and life's work never wavered. In the 1950s, she struggled with several failed attempts at expanding her career into new territories, trying to find her place in the shifting world of television. Dale's personal life was marked by heartbreak, including the loss of her daughter, whom she had adopted after a troubled upbringing. Despite these tragedies, she remained an icon of optimism and faith. Her passing on February 7, 2001, at the age of 88, was the culmination of years of health struggles, with congestive heart failure finally taking her life. Conway Twitty, born on September 1, 1933, was an artist whose voice carried the soul of country music. He joined Hee Haw in 1969, at the age of 36, portraying himself, bringing his unique charm and musical talent to the show. Conway's character was that of a confident and soulful country star, but his real life was full of struggles that contrasted sharply with his on-stage persona. His career, though marked by hit after hit, saw deep lows. Despite being one of the most successful country artists of his time, Conway's personal life was often fraught with difficulty. He faced multiple failed marriages, with his first wife, Ellen, divorcing him after a tumultuous relationship. He remarried, but the shadows of his past still loomed large. He had 3 children, one of whom, his son, died unexpectedly in a tragic accident. Conway also grappled with depression and struggles to balance his career with family life. His health began to decline in his later years, and on June 5, 1993, At the age of 59, Conway Twitty passed away due to an abdominal aortic aneurysm. His death marked the end of an era, a loss that devastated both his family and his legion of fans. Jonathan Winters, born on November 11, 1925, was a man whose mind never rested. Joining Hee Haw in 1969 at the age of 43, he portrayed himself, bringing his wild sense of humor and unpredictable energy to the stage. Jonathan's talent was undeniable, but his life was full of personal demons. His early years were marred by instability, and his rise to fame was never smooth. He battled alcoholism and mental health issues for much of his life, struggling with depression and emotional turmoil. Jonathan married his college sweetheart, Eileen, and together they had 2 children. Yet, even this seemingly happy family life was not immune to the storm that raged within him. His career, too, was a reflection of his inner battles. Success was often followed by periods of isolation and uncertainty. Despite his setbacks, Jonathan's humor remained his saving grace, earning him widespread admiration. However, his personal struggles never truly abated. He passed away on April 11, 2013, at the age of 87, due to natural causes. His death was a quiet end to a turbulent life, leaving behind a legacy of laughter but also a shadow of pain that had followed him throughout his years. Grady Nut, born on September 2, 1934, joined Hee Haw in 1978 at the age of 44, becoming a beloved comedian known for his quick wit and infectious humor. His character, much like Grady himself, was a master of timing and charm, and he instantly became a fan favorite. However, Grady's life was far from the light-hearted persona he portrayed on television. Behind the laughter, he struggled with feelings of inadequacy and loneliness. Grady's first marriage ended in divorce after several years, leaving him emotionally scarred and uncertain about his place in the world. He had no children, and his relationships never seemed to fulfill the deep emotional needs he had. But the greatest sorrow of his life came in the form of a tragic accident. Grady was involved in a plane crash on November 23, 1982, while traveling to perform in a comedy show. He was only 48 years old when he died, leaving behind a legacy of humor that would forever be tinged with the sadness of his untimely death. The tragedy shocked his fans and friends alike, as his bright future was cruelly cut short, leaving a hole in the world of comedy that could never be filled. Roy Acuff, born on September 15, 1903, was a towering figure in country music, celebrated for his powerful performances and pioneering influence. He joined Hee Haw in 1973, at the age of 70, portraying himself as a respected country musician whose deep voice and commanding presence made him a beloved star. Yet, beneath his public persona, Roy's life was fraught with personal sorrow and heartache. His marriage to Mildred, which produced 3 children, was not without its challenges. The demands of his career often strained their relationship, and as the years went by, the absence of his presence in his children's lives became a source of regret for him. Despite his fame, Roy faced financial difficulties and doubts about his place in the changing country music scene. The death of Mildred, his lifelong companion, left Roy deeply broken, further isolating him from the happiness he had once known. The loneliness in his final years was a stark contrast to the vibrancy he had once radiated on stage. Health problems also took their toll on Roy, and after a prolonged battle with heart disease, he passed away on November 23, 1992, at 89, due to congestive heart failure. Jack Burns, born November 15, 1933, brought his natural wit and charm to Hee Haw when he joined in 1969 at the age of 36. Playing himself, he became known for his quick humor and sharp comedic timing. However, his success on the show was the peak of his career. Outside of Hee Haw, Jack's attempts to gain broader fame were often met with failure, leaving him frustrated and disillusioned. His career in entertainment never matched his early promise, and he struggled to find meaningful roles after his time on the show. His personal life mirrored his professional struggles. Jack was married once, but the relationship ended in divorce. His later years were marked by isolation, with no children or close family to turn to. Despite his public persona as a comedian, Jack battled inner demons, including bouts of depression and feelings of unfulfillment. As he grew older, his health declined, and by the time of his death on January 27, 2020, at the age of 86, he had become a reclusive figure, his passing almost unnoticed by the world that once knew him for his humor. He died from respiratory failure, his final days as quiet and somber as the life he had led after Hee Haw. Tennessee Ernie Ford, born on February 13, 1919, was a man whose career and life mirrored the highs and lows of country music itself. Known for his deep, resonant voice and dry wit, Ernie joined Hee Haw in 1973 at the age of 54, portraying himself, a role that felt natural to him given his long-standing fame. Despite his charm and success, Ernie's personal life was a series of struggles. His first marriage to Betty ended in divorce, and his second marriage was troubled by his battles with alcohol, which worsened over time. As his personal demons deepened, his career faltered, leaving him in financial instability. He had 2 children, but even family life couldn't shield him from the despair that often consumed him. His health declined due to years of excessive drinking, leading to liver failure. On October 17, 1991, Ernie passed away at the age of 72, alone in many ways despite the fame and love he had once known. His death was a tragic end to a life that had once burned brightly but ultimately flickered out in the shadows of alcoholism and isolation. Loretta Lynn, born April 14, 1932, was a woman whose life story could rival the greatest of country music ballads. A pioneering figure in the industry, she joined Hee Haw in 1969 at the age of 37, where she played herself, sharing the same unflinching honesty that defined her music. Her marriage to Doolittle Minnie Lynn at the age of 15 was fraught with challenges. Doolittle's drinking and infidelity cast long shadows over their relationship, yet Loretta endured, raising 6 children and struggling to balance family life with her rising musical career. While her songs spoke of overcoming adversity, her own life was a relentless cycle of hardship. One of her children died tragically, a loss that haunted her for years. The pain of her troubled marriage and career pressures weighed heavily on her, and while she became a beloved figure in country music, her journey was far from easy. Despite her success, Loretta's personal life continued to unravel, leaving her feeling isolated even in her later years. She passed away on October 4, 2022, at the age of 90, her death marking the end of an era in country music. What are your thoughts on the loss of the beloved actors from Hee Haw? Which of them do you miss the most? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and enable notifications to stay updated with our newest videos.